The Women's Forum of New York welcomes you to the 2015 Breakfast of Corporate Champions.
We are here today to celebrate the executives in this room, the decision makers and the change drivers who know that women on boards is not altruism, who know that it is a strategic business imperative that drives bottom line results.
Welcome to the biennial gathering of America's most successful companies with at least 20% of board seats held by women.
Look, let me declare it for everybody. We want more women on boards. We need more women on boards. We will succeed better with more women on boards.
A salute to leaders who inspire and drive change.
You know, if you're running a public company today and you have no women on your board, you know, we're not a perfect company, but I have to say I don't quite get it. You've set the bar awfully low.
If we want diversity, if we want to have broader representation because we think it is a business imperative, then we should act as though we think it's a business imperative.
Welcome to the 2015 Breakfast of Corporate Champions.
I mean, this is the United States of America. We put a man on the moon. We ought to be able to get women on boards. I mean.
Good morning. I'm Janice Reels-Ellig, co-CEO of Chaddock-Ellig and chair of this event. This is 2015 Breakfast of Corporate Champions. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for being part of an event. We are giving a salute to the companies and the leaders who recognize that the advancement of women is really critical. And I want you to just take a moment and look around this room and notice that we are not just a room full of women talking to women about getting women on boards. This is a room of men and women looking at solutions. So I want to applaud you all. Today we are going to honor the companies who are the game changers, those who know that gender diversity and equality in the boardroom is no longer an option. It is a strategic business imperative to reflect the marketplace in which you all operate, to attract your employees, your customers, and your shareholders. And you know that multiple studies show that gender diversity enhances corporate governance, your reputation, your innovation, and that there is a very strong correlation between stronger financial performance and more women in the boardroom. So, more women in the boardroom, that is why we are honoring our corporate champions today, not only for what you have achieved, but what you still can achieve, because you can accelerate the pace of change starting today by adding more women in your boardrooms, by inspiring your peers to add women in their boardrooms, and by sponsoring companies of women to other boards. So let's start the day, it's early, by making history. Let's create a legacy. Let's achieve gender balance in all U.S. corporate boardrooms by 2025. And this is really not that difficult to do when you think about the number of openings that happen in corporate America each year. About 350 openings. If you fill even less than half, or 150, over the next 10 years, that's 1,500 seats that more women will occupy in U.S. boardrooms. Added to the 1,000 seats that they currently hold, that's 2,500 seats of the 5,400 S&P 500 seats in corporate America. We are at parity. We can get there in 10 years, not 20 years, not 30 years. And to help fill that supply of women, I want to draw your attention to a card on your table called Mark Sponsor. Pick up the card. And for CEOs and board chairs, and those of you who know CEOs and board chairs, sponsor a woman. We'd like all of you here today to do that because it's important to increase the supply of women that are known in the boardroom. Have you ever heard the phrase, "I cannot find a qualified woman"? I have. Oddly, I have never heard the phrase, I cannot find a qualified man. So, 2013 PricewaterhouseCoopers director surveys tells us that 90% of new directors come from the board's own network. Therefore, we're calling on all CEOs here and those you know to get more women into that boardroom, into that network, so we never have to hear that phrase again. To accelerate the change, the Women's Forum hosts a database of CEO-sponsored women available at no cost to Nom and Gov committees and to search firms. We have more than 150 women in our database, and I'm pleased to say even in this past week, a board with no women on it tapped our database to find a woman for their board. These are women who have been sponsored by CEOs and board chairs, and they're ready for you to tap into. Create the supply by sponsoring women in your company or another company that you know is board ready, and create the demand by tapping into this database to fill a position when you have an open seat. Just fill out the form, drop it at the registration desk. We'll guide you through the process. Call us, we'll help you in any way possible. Because your focus and attention is really needed. As we've discussed today, and you will hear today, the pace of change is glacial. We are not moving as we should be. We have a serious problem in our boardrooms. Over the past 20 years, according to Catalyst, the average annual rate of change has been 0.5% a year. Women hold 19.2% of the S&P 500 board seats in corporate America. At this rate, we will achieve parity in 75 years, or by 2090. We will not be here. Not only will we be old, we just won't be here. So if you have a daughter, granddaughter, niece, a friend who has a 10-year-old, she will be 85. I don't think that is the legacy that we want to leave. Do you? The Women's Forum of New York hosts this breakfast of corporate champions and the database because our mission is to advance women's leadership, and we recognize the boardroom as the new leadership frontier. As most of you know, the Women's Forum is New York's premier organization of women leaders at the highest level of achievement, from finance to fine arts. We are an invitation-only organization of 500 members and are the founding flagship of the International Women's Forum, a global network of more than 6,000 outstanding leaders in 74 forums. Today, you are sitting with some of our phenomenal Women Forum members. Some may be sitting on your board. Some should be sitting on your board. This all began in 2011 when we launched our first Breakfast of Corporate Champions to honor companies that had at least 20% or more women on their boards. Then we held it again in 2013, which you just saw the video of. And each time we had it was at the New York Stock Exchange, which could only hold 300 people. And some of you, of course, we couldn't accommodate. So here we are at Cipriani, 42nd Street, with over 650 people. Like we built it, and they will come. This is unique. This is a unique forum addressing a critical topic with an outstanding audience of men and women to listen and to take action. But in addition to more than doubling our audience, which is a tremendous achievement, we've also added more content, a symposium with a very important partner, the Committee for Economic Development of the Conference Board. The Conference Board is producing a live webcast of today's event, which will also be available on their website afterwards, as it will be on the Women's Forum website. And our event is also a social media event, so for those tweeters in the crowd, please tweet away. Today's discussion will provide strategic insights on why and how to put more women on more boards. Today is unique and powerful because of the outstanding thought leaders who are motivational, inspirational, and aspirational and truly focused on accelerating change. But none of this would be possible without our sponsors, who I'd like to acknowledge and ask for a round of applause because they truly walk the talk and actively advocate for change through their support of today's event and the companies that we're honoring. Our sponsors are our Diamond, Platinum, and Gold. And you see them up there. A round of applause, please. You know, this is not a fundraiser. We asked for money only to pay for the expense of this event. So this support was really necessary to gather $650 and for everything else we did today. So we really appreciate everybody's support of this. And also within the Women's Forum, we have visionaries, women who are drivers of change. They are the Corporate Board Initiative Committee, a committed group of leaders, outstanding Women Forum members who made this Breakfast of Corporate Champions event a reality. This does not come together easily. I want to especially thank them and my co-chair, Carolyn Carter, former CEO of Gray Advertising, EMEA, for her brilliant orchestration of not just this event, but working with me from the very beginning in 2011. And I'm going to ask Carolyn to just stand because she never does this, but she has to. We've gone through many times together, Carolyn. And an audience of 600 busy executives does not just happen. It takes leadership from the top. And we are especially grateful to our honorary chairs, Maggie Wilderotter, Executive Chairman of Frontier Communications, and Richard Davis, Chairman, President, and CEO of U.S. Bancorp, who gave their time, their energy, their commitment to work with us to pull together the amazing speakers and the program that we have today. So would they please be acknowledged here today? Today is about honoring our champions and hearing from our panels, the CEO panel, the NomGov committee perspective, the investor community, and the global perspective, and concluding with our keynote speaker, our SEC chair. Now, with that overview, let's get to our most important part of this morning, recognizing you, our corporate champions. And as you see from your program, we are honoring 400 companies of the Fortune 1000 and S&P 500 that have at least 20% women on their boards. We are extremely pleased that over 150 companies are represented here today with either board directors, CEOs, or executives. And I promise I'm not going to ask them all to speak. It take too long. So could we please raise the lights? And I would like to ask all the representatives of all those companies being honored to please stand so we can recognize you and applaud you. Thank you. That's quite a representation. Getting to parity by 2025, as I mentioned earlier, which is our goal in 10 years, and we're saying 40% or more is what we'd like to see the threshold at, takes focus and commitment. So today we're giving special recognition to those companies that have crossed the 40% threshold, because these are the companies that are truly getting to that mark. There are 28 companies that are at the 40% threshold that women hold today. 23 are represented and will be acknowledged and given an award this morning. One of these companies is Frontier Communications, led by Executive Chairman Maggie Wilderotter, who is also our honorary chair, one of them, at this breakfast today. Remarkably, during her career, Maggie has served on 28 boards. so she knows a little bit about corporate governance, starting at the age of 28. And along that career, she has made a point of opening doors and making opportunities available to others, and especially has been outspoken about the value of gender diversity in the C-suite and in the boardroom. As recently as this week, she was on CNBC speaking out about why it was important to have women on boards, how it is a business imperative. Maggie is known as smart, strategic, and fearless, and I'm so pleased that she's working on my side of the table. Maggie Wilderotter, I would like to invite you to come to the stage to say a few words about why gender parity is so important in the boardroom and to be the first recipient of the Women's Forum 2015 Corporate Champion Award. Maggie Wilderotter.
Hi, everybody. That was such a nice introduction. I think we need to change the rhetoric, though, and say I went on my first board when I was 18, not 28. But I think we know that it's not news that women are key consumer decision makers when it comes to market buying power and also influence. That companies with diverse leadership, teams, and boards, and workforces that can create sustainable shareholder value better than companies that don't have that diversity. And that diversity creates a better work environment and strengthens decision-making through consideration of multiple points of view. Yet women continue to be underrepresented in senior business leadership roles and on board seats. So until parity is achieved, we must keep the dialogue going and the need for action top of mind. You know, resistance to women leaders at executive and board levels can be subtle, and it can start early when women are underrepresented through the pipeline in corporate America, especially in roles with P&L responsibility, and that when you lack critical operational and leadership experience, it makes it tough to get into the C-suite and also into the boardroom. So that gap has to be filled. And I know firsthand that P&L and operating line roles were vital to my career progression. Those roles opened the door to the C-suite for me, and it gave me key people leadership and execution experience. I also gained experience early on in my career. I was lucky to work at a software company called Cable Data that believed in diversity when I was very young, 23 years old. And it was said in that company that diversity mattered, not just in how the company talked about diversity, but in what it did, starting with the CEO. In 1984, 50% of the company's C-suite were women. We also had, in 5 short years, grown our market share to 85% with that diverse workforce. Our challenge and our duty together is to make gender diversity a priority in our organizations, and it can be done. We've accomplished just that at Frontier Communications during the past 10.5 years that I was CEO, and that continues now under the great leadership of Dan McCarthy, who's the new CEO in the company. And I know that I'm very privileged to have a table of our board members here today, so I'm giving a shout out to the Frontier table. To our board members and our senior executives, it is great to have you here, and really what you do every day is help make Frontier so successful. So at the end of the day, there's another great incentive to be a diversity champion. Companies that don't will pay a steep price in terms of getting the right talent. Millennials want to work for employers with a strong record on equality and diversity. And they are an 80 million strong cohort in the United States. Today, they represent 38% of the workforce, a percentage that will continue to increase as baby boomers retire. So this is the talent pool that we all want to attract and bring into our companies. And we can do that if we have a better track record in our companies for inclusion and for making diversity a priority. So it's more than the right thing to do. it's a business imperative. Every company's ability to grow and thrive depends on it. So let's all commit to being true champions and to build the diversity pipeline in our companies, to give this talent pool challenging roles and responsibilities that prepare them for the C-suite, and to make sure boards have balanced representation. So I want to thank you in advance for that commitment, and also thank you for the honor today of honoring Frontier Communications. I'm back. So I have the distinct pleasure to ask A.G. Lafley with Procter & Gamble, the executive chairman, to come to the stage. Hi, A.G.
Hi, Maggie.
So my years on the board of directors at Procter & Gamble were a masterclass in many areas, but especially in diversity and inclusion. The board has a terrific set of women board members, including Meg Whitman, Pat Wurst, Sue Desmond-Hellman, and Angela Brally. A.G. Lafley was one of the first leaders to link a company's success to understanding the needs of the communities where we live and work. He knows that being a good company, a respected and valued company, means having employees, customers, and suppliers who are diverse and who bring richness of their experience to Procter & Gamble. P&G is a company with women buyers all over the world, so having a woman's perspective is key to leadership. And board positions at Procter & Gamble that are diverse is just good business. P&G embraces the belief in areas of the globe where such ideas are not always popular or safe. But P&G makes it work by respecting culture and working within the system to create change. So it is my great honor to present this award to a true corporate champion for diversity and inclusion, the executive chairman of Procter & Gamble and my good friend, A.G. Lafley.
Thank you so much. Very kind. Thanks a lot, Maggie, and good morning, everyone. I obviously want to thank and recognize all of the P&Gers over the years, now almost 180 years, who've helped make our company more diverse and inclusive at every level. Directors, company leadership team, business leadership teams, country leadership teams, and over 100,000 P&Gers around the world. Throughout P&G, and particularly on our board, we want the absolute best minds bringing their diverse external experiences and perspectives and challenging our thinking as we work every day to improve the lives of consumers around the world. I applaud today's event, which brings focus to the need to bring more qualified women onto corporate boards. Frankly, it's just good business sense, good business practice. So thanks a lot for the recognition on behalf of P&G. It's an honor to be at this event.
Thank you, A.G. Now I'd like to invite the president of the Women's Forum, who is also vice chairman of Deloitte, to come up and acknowledge the other 40% award winners, corporate champions. And I must say that Amy Kaplan has also been deeply involved in putting on this event, and I really want to thank Amy and Deloitte for all they have done. So, Amy?
Good morning, and a warm welcome to everyone for joining us this morning. It is my absolute pleasure to bring to the stage for individual recognition representatives from the other 40% champions that are here with us today. So to begin, Aetna Inc., represented by Honorable Barbara Hackman Franklin, Director. Alliant, represented by Patricia Campling, Chairman and CEO. American Water Works, represented by Linda Sullivan, Senior Vice President and CEO. Ann Inc., represented by Kay Krill, President and CEO. Avon, represented by Susan Ormiston, Senior Vice President. Dr. Pepper Snapple, represented by Angela Stevens, Senior Vice President. Estee Lauder, represented by Sarah Moss, Vice President. HSN Inc., represented by Mindy Grossman, CEO. Ingredion, represented by Eileen Gordon, Chairman, President, and CEO. Interpublic Group, represented by Michael Roth, Chairman and CEO. Michael Kors, represented by Anne Karlogas. Navient, represented by Catherine A. Lehman, Director. Rheology, represented by Marilyn Wasser, General Counsel. Tegna Inc., represented by Gracia Maturi, CEO, and Marcia Magna, Chair. TIAA CREF, represented by Alaire Townsend, Director. Ulta Salon, represented by Kathy Halligan, Director. Unisys, represented by Peter Altaboff, President and CEO. Voya Financial, represented by Rod Martin, Chairman and CEO. WGL Holdings, represented by Deborah Lee, Director. And finally, Xerox, represented by Anne Reese, Director. May we please have one final round of applause for all of our champions. They are doing a fabulous job of creating gender parity in the boardroom, and we will pause for a brief photo opportunity and be back. We need you to move a little bit here. Okay. As our champions exit the stage, I'd like to say that a unique opportunity it is to have all of you together today in the same place. And we, as leaders, know that any change requires relentless focus. We believe that this breakfast of corporate champions brings focus to why and how to get more women on boards. And we believe, quite frankly, that you, the leaders in this audience, have the ability to meaningfully accelerate the change. We also believe that change comes through the partnership of company commitment and personal leadership. And so at each breakfast, we select one company to receive the Muriel F. Siebert Award. And this award goes to a company that has achieved gender balance on its board, and the CEO that has to partner with that company to make that happen. This award is named for one of the founders of the Women's Forum, Mickey Siebert, the first woman to hold a seat on the New York Stock Exchange, and she holds a very big place in the heart of the Women's Forum members. Mickey believed that a woman could rise to every leadership level, and she believed that at every leadership table, women should be present. In her life, she championed women in every way she could, and she inspired us all. Past winners of the Muriel F. Siebert Award have been Avon and the Estee Lauder Company. The 2015 Muriel F. Siebert Award is presented to Macy's, Inc., and their champion, our champion, Terry Lundgren. And to tell you why Terry is Macy's champion, I'd like to introduce one of the women directors of Macy's, Inc., Joyce Roche. Thank you.
Good morning. It really is an honor for me to introduce this year's Muriel Siebert Leadership Award winner, and someone that I deeply admire and respect, and that's Terry Lundgren. I've known Terry since 2006, when I joined the Macy's board, and have seen his incredible leadership in action. Terry has guided Macy's to be a leader in gender diversity in all levels of the business, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because it makes good business sense. Terry sees diversity and inclusion as a business imperative. So it's not surprising that 1/3, not in addition to our board representation, 1/3 of Terry's executive management team are women, and women represent 65% of the management of the company. These results don't just happen, as Terry has often said. You have to start with the mindset that diversity and inclusion is smart business, and then you have to focus and drive it. In terms of our gender representation on the board, it didn't just happen. We focused on it. As we were facing a number of retirements on the board, Terry and the Nominating and Governance Committee assessed the skills we'd be losing and as important, the skills we'd need for our board of the future. We then engaged an executive search firm and made it clear that our candidate slate needed to be diverse. As a result of our last 4 board members added, we've added 2 women and 2 men. We acquired the skill set that we were seeking. It just came in different packages. I can't think of a more deserving person for the Muriel Siebert Leadership Award than Terry. He not only talks the talk, he walks the walk. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Macy's Chairman and CEO, Terry Lundgren.
Thank you, Joyce. Joyce has been just an outstanding director for our company. She chairs our nominating committee, so she's clearly got a major role in all we do in terms of the makeup and content of our board. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, as far as women being included in most everything I do in my life was really not a choice for me, starting with my very strong mother. and my 4 sisters and my brother, and now that trend continues with my strong wife, who's chairman of the board of Ronald McDonald House, and my 2 daughters. So this is pretty crystal clear to me. In fact, you know, when my mother, just to give you a little sense about my mother, she was half Irish and half English, Catholic, and my father was like 100%, as far as we can trace back, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, 100% Swedish and Lutheran. So when the 6 kids were born, it was declared that the 6 kids were 100% Irish Catholic. And so we just said, okay, we'll just go with that, and no argument. But my mother, you know, taught all of us, and my parents were not college educated. My 4 sisters and brother were not college educated, but the education about respect for women was crystal clear from the very, very beginning of our upbringing. And I travel quite a bit. When I'm overseas by myself, I still put the toilet seat down, you know, in my hotel room. So it's just, you know, some things just get ingrained into you. And so let me just briefly talk about my management team. I have an extraordinarily talented management team, and while it's a challenging period of time in the retail industry today, we've had 5 years of just extraordinary growth, and I attribute that to this amazing team. 65% of my management are women, and half of my executive committee are women, and have just these very strong voices about where our company has been and where it's going. And without them, we simply wouldn't be the company we are. And frankly, women are the consumers. And A.G. Lafley knows this well with Pete Procter & Gamble, as do other CEOs in the consumer business. Women are the consumers, and if they're not buying themselves, they're helping making these decisions. And so having that voice in our boardroom, to me, it would be irresponsible simply not to have it. So with our board, you know, and I've said this before, you know, people say, well, gee, how have you been able to do this, and how have you been able to get 6 of these powerful women on your board? And I said, you know, it's very easy. You just have to commit to it. You just have to decide that this is something that's important to you. This is something that's really valuable to you in your boardroom. And when you make that decision, you will figure this out. And so I think that we've done that, and every single person that, by the way, if you want to have the CEO of a major Fortune 500 company and have a woman, you know, good luck with that, because there's 25 of them out of the 500, okay? Not enough, and someday there will be more of them. But you can find outstanding women who are major contributors, as we have done, who are not a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. We just brought on Leslie Hale last year, who is a CFO of RLJ Lodging, which is a real estate investment trust, and is a big subject around the valuations of real estate of department stores these days. Very important. Her advice is becoming extraordinarily important, and her financial acumen is extremely helpful too. We've got Annie Young Scrivener. She really built the Starbucks global marketing presence for that company, and I think they're one of the best social network organizations in the country, and so she's helping us with that. And Joyce's role that she's brought to us has been equally important, and I can go on and on about all of the women who have been a big part of our board. So I just want to emphasize that there is no sacrifice. There's nothing that you're giving away here. You just have to focus on it like anything else we do in business, and when you do, I think you'll find that there are extraordinarily talented women who are ready and willing to step up and contribute to your board, if in fact you're open-minded about bringing them on. So with that, we accept this award for our company and from Joyce and our board of directors, and say thank you all very much for this recognition, and let's all just raise our standards here and be more committed to this objective. Thank you very much.